Welcome, everyone, once again to Ideagen. I'm Peggy Pelonis, chair of Ideagen in Athens, and also the president of the American Community School in Athens, Greece. And with me today is a very, very special guest, Dr. Fiori Zafeiropoulou, who is a social entrepreneur, an NGO founder, policy advisor, and world speaker in educating about human trafficking and fashion supply chains and empowering women victims of slavery and women in risk of exploitation. She's a member of the newly established ESG and Sustainability Policy Advisor Working Team to the General Secretary of the Greek Governmental Party and has been nominated for the Green Woman Board for Greek Ministry of Energy and Environment. She's a keynote speaker in numerous events, including Athens 40 and BBC News International Women Day. She holds an award winning PhD on social franchising and social entrepreneurship. I could go on and on and on about this lady. She's the coordinator for Greece of the global movement Fashion Revolution and founder of Social Factory, also known as SOFFA. Welcome with us here today, Fiori. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Peggy. It's great to be with you.
Good to see
It
you.
sounded a lot.
Let me just get right to the chase
Wow.
here and ask you, tell us about SOFA and your story behind that. How did it all begin, and what is your vision of this for the future?
Yes. SOFA stands for Social Fashion Factory. It's a production studio of fashion professionals. We create garments with a great social and environmental impact. What we do is that we provide work integration to women victims of human trafficking and women in risk of exploitation. We work with refugee and migrant women and populations. And our mission from the beginning has been the preservation and, if possible, regeneration of the environment. And this we do through our textiles, our processes. We also control for human trafficking our entire supply chain. So this is more or less what SOFA does. Our customers are brands and retailers from around the globe that want to produce sustainably. And that's what we offer to them. Now, what's new with SOFA? First of all, our team, our coordination team, consists of volunteers. Our working staff are our beneficiaries. So our team, the last 2 years during lockdown, has been working on our new venture, and we're launching Where Your Origins, with our mind on the planet and our soul on women. A new brand is born. Where Your Origins is a cultural brand with a strong environmental and social impact. It's an ode to female power that advocates through its clothes for the elimination of violence against women and human trafficking. So how do we do that? Our workforce, our designers, every garment is our population of women victims of human trafficking. So every garment narrates a story, the story of the woman who designed it. Our population, from our population, we select through Where Your Origins Award. The first award will be launched shortly. 30 women will be selected, 15 young designers, and 15 women survivor victims of human trafficking and in risk of exploitation. These 30 women will win a 4 months training program by Where Your Origins on how to create their own capsule collection, a fully ecological capsule collection inspired by their country of origin. And their garments, the selected garments, will be manufactured in SOFA Studio by our empowerment programs in tailoring and sewing. So Where Your Origins is not a brand. It's a work integration program. And it's another way of us to advocate for the integration and of women victims of human trafficking.
That is really amazing, and so many things working on so many different levels. You're really tackling some of the world's most vexing issues. You're looking at human rights, modern slavery, the environmental crisis, waste management, all of these things together. I'm just curious, how did you come up with all of this? Where does your story begin?
Yes. Truth is that my first goal and vision was the social element. So I was working in London on my PhD thesis on social entrepreneurship, and there is where I conceptualized the idea of a cooperative of a social fashion factory. I wanted to revive my father's brand. My father had a manufacturing of sneakers in Greece that closed in the late 90s. I had no budget, and I was sure it was during the financial crisis. I was sure that there were other people like me with a vision of creating a brand. So I came back to Greece to work on a social fashion factory. There, I learned about the accident in Rana Plaza in Bangladesh, where the factory collapsed, bringing injury and death to thousands of people, mainly women. We have to consider that 80% of the workforce in the fashion industry are women and girls. Many of them face very low wages, verbal and physical abuse. They work very long hours with no health insurance or any type of work privileges. So I heard about this accident, and this is how I found out that fashion is the second industry in risk of modern slavery. And at this point, it was also the second on many elements of pollution. It's the first when it comes to plastic, microplastics. 35% of microplastics in our ocean come from fashion, from the fashion and textile industry. And if I may also add to that, 10% of the footprint on emissions comes from the fashion industry, 20% of wastewater. So you understand that fashion is a very big polluter to the environment. And to me, at that point, when I learned all that, of course, I joined Fashion Revolution that was just being created in the UK, and we also started at the same time in Greece. It was only, common sense to me that the social fashion factory would help act on these issues. And that's how we decided that we would help create jobs and empower the people that the fashion industry exploits, and at the same time work on the environmental issues.
And you are also involved with raising awareness for human trafficking on a lot of different levels. And recently, you were involved in the Raise Your Voice Festival. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, through SOFFA, we entered in 2015. That is when more or less SOFFA was started. So in 2015, I managed to enter through a volunteer in a safe house of victims of sexual trafficking. And from then on, I learned more about um, this violent this violence against people. So today there are 40 million people living under conditions of slavery, and there are many different types of slavery. It's sexual trafficking, it's labor trafficking, it's children marriages, enforced marriages, domestic servitude, and of course, child trafficking. 1 out of 4 victims are children. So working with NGOs to recruit for Social Fashion Factory, we managed, I got in touch with, today we have more than 30 civil society organizations working as safe houses or as refugee centers, from which have signed in our program and with which we're working to recruit beneficiaries. So as I dig deeper into this atrocity, I found out that Europe has more than 1 million victims of human trafficking. And Greece, as of 2018, became the second in human trafficking in Europe. And this is because of the refugee influx. 90% of illegal immigrants come through Greece. Until then, we would organize yearly Fashion Revolution festivals, raising awareness for human rights in labor. But I thought that it was the time to grow the festival and ask for all NGOs active in the field to become co-organizers with us. And so the first festival in 2018 that was called Raise Your Voice to End Human Trafficking, was organized in Greece. Today, at the next festival, 53 civil society organizations and state bodies take part. There are also participants from New York City and from Canada, from around the globe.
Wow, amazing things. Now you talked about there's a short video called "Who Made My Clothes," which I recommend for everyone to see. It's about a minute and a half, and is the winner of the Best Screen Film Award Milan Fashion Film Festival in 2018, and for the Athens Fashion Film Festival in 2019. Why do you think? Why is it important to you and to us to know who made our clothes?
Yes, very important question. Thank you for that, Peggy. So Fashion Revolution is the biggest global movement that fights for a fairer, safer, cleaner, and more transparent fashion industry. What we ask is that the preservation and protection of our planet and the value of people are equal and higher to growth and profits in the fashion industry. Fashion Revolution does 3 things. We advocate with policymakers, with employer associations, with trade unions. We raise awareness through training, education, through research, of course. We have to raise data in order to be able to educate people. And we partner, we create networks. Who Made My Clothes was our first hashtag. It's mainly a movement that was created virally, and that's why, to be honest, lockdowns didn't slow us down. So our hashtag, Who Made My Clothes, has a reach of 253 million people every April. And what we ask for people is that before we purchase a garment, we have to ask who sells it, and they have to show to us on their websites that they know exactly who have been the people that manufactured our clothes. This is important because the fashion industry has a very complex supply chain. So what happens is that every different component of our garment can be produced and manufactured in different places around the globe. And also, there are many different steps, starting from farming, from raw material production. Then we have mills, thread development, we have weavers. And then there are other people that do the dyeing, the cutting, the sewing, designing. And all this happen before a garment can end up in a rug in where we can purchase it. So retailers and brands usually don't know and have no visibility of their supply chain. And in this obscure supply chain is where all these atrocities happen. So that is why we ask from brands and retailers to take, ownership and really show us that they know, and there is a big change. I have to tell you that since 2016, we are creating the Fashion Transparency Index. From last year, I'm part of the research team, and we are evaluating 250 of the biggest fashion brands on how do they do on transparency. And last year, we have on average a 12% increase of sustainability and transparency. And we're not saying that they're ethical, but we're saying that now they know more. And I can tell you that 47% of these biggest brands and retailers last year published on their websites the list of their manufacturers and 12% of their raw materials. So then we can go and see and check what is happening in these factories.
The numbers that you just mentioned about human trafficking are outrageous. I can't even fathom. Where do you begin to raise awareness? Do you think that working with education and young people in schools is important, not only to raise awareness, but as a means of preventing some of these things?
I believe greatly in education, and that's why in all our festivals from the beginning, we run workshops, human rights workshops, circularity workshops, and we need to help people make the connection among human trafficking and everyday life choices. Because in the end of the day, we are the demand. It's in our name that all these atrocities happen. And so we are responsible for the lives of these people. And also, we are connected. We know that now. When somebody's in pain somewhere, we will be in pain shortly. When there is an accident or when the planet is in pain in some place, we will all be in pain very shortly. We're all connected. So it's very important that we all take ownership of human trafficking. About education, education is important, and young people, it's where it all started. I mean, all this number and change and transformation to the industry that we see today, it's because of the reaction of consumers. So we created this success. I can say that today we're talking about important steps being made. And because education is so important, it is why we, Fashion Revolution Greece, together with Athens University of Economics and Business, we've developed these last 2 years again and are launching from this June, Fashion Revolution Summer School. This is a global first, so it's for the whole global network that's active in more than 100 countries. And education is not only about sharing knowledge, it's also about networking. It's also a hub where people meet, the game changers of tomorrow meet, so that they, in the future, can work with each other. Because we need to support each other. It's only collaboratively that things happen. Fashion Revolution Summer School, up to now, 25 of the top educators in fashion, human rights, and circular fashion from around the globe, a lot of people from the US have registered to our program to be the providers of the knowledge. And we have just launched last week the campaign for students. We're running one professional program and one student program. It's a 3-week school, and it's traveling for 3 weeks, educators and participants all over Greece, in different places, in islands, in rivers, from the north to the south and back to Athens. And in the end, we're organizing a FashTech hackathon where the participants will come together with the IT community to work on some digital fashion innovations, as I believe very much in the digitization of fashion to bring this solution, the ethical and circular solutions that we so much are in need.
And I agree with you so much that we are so interconnected, and unless we take that, responsibility and accountability for our actions, not much is going to change. But spreading the word and raising awareness and educating is so very important. So I really want to know, what is your vision? Where do you hope to take this work, and what kind of partnerships are you looking for further to make this to spread this?
Yes, partnerships are extremely important. And we're very thankful for all the media that from the beginning has been sharing global and local media has been sharing the stories of SOFFA and Fashion Revolution, of Raise Your Voice, and hopefully of Where Your Origins Now. It's very important for influencers and opinion leaders to actually share the word, because it's them that can convince people. And we have, and there are actors and EU MPs that have joined our goal. So partnerships is the way forward. Education and university partnerships is one of the collaborations that we're working on right now. So we're also working with Bocconi University to launch a winter program of Fashion Revolution in Italy, of Fashion Revolution Summer School. We're also talking with Mexico and Latin America. We're very much connected with Panama University of Architecture and Arts, with Brazil, with Argentina, to actually have people coming over. But in the future, I would say Fashion Revolution Summer School having licensed programs around the globe, to be able to create regional hubs where game changers would be able to meet and learn from each other. So this is one of the visions for Fashion Revolution Summer School, and one of the future steps that Fashion Revolution Greece is working. When it comes to Social Fashion Factory, what my vision is again, maybe because my PhD was in social franchising, but also because big numbers don't really attract me. So I wouldn't see Social Fashion Factory ever becoming a very huge factory. But I would see, and there have been requests from Nigeria, from Balkan countries, to create replicas of Social Fashion Factory. So I would see production studios being set up through licensed and social franchising agreements in other places in Greece and abroad, where this population resides, and where they could be trained and integrated in the fashion industry as fashion designers or tailors, pattern makers, and in all the other positions that are needed in a fashion studio.
Well, I just want to wish you the best of luck in everything that you're doing, and tell us how we can all support this endeavor. If you could leave us with a word, some words of wisdom here, of advice for either adults, especially for young children or young people who are, getting ready to go into the workforce and to their studies and whatnot, what would you say?
Yes, first of all, I'm very thankful to younger generations. I'm very optimistic. I believe that things will change because I see them changing, and they come from the younger generations. Millennials started this whole transformation, and it's Generation Z that will be asked, and they will be a bit luckier, only in the sense that there has been some work already by millennials done, but of course they have a very big burden in terms of financial, environmental, and social issues that they need to resolve. So what I would ask people is to first of all connect with the people that make their garments. And it's not only about fashion, it's about anything we buy. Electronics and computers are the first industry in risk of human trafficking. It's also fish and coffee and cocoa, chocolate. So we need to push for anyone that sells us something to actually provide the information on their website on the environmental impact, on the carbon footprint, on the social element. We need to know if they're paying living wages, which is very important, living wages, not minimum wages. We need them to know where their factories are, if women are working, if there is racial equity, gender equity. So all this information has to be very easily accessible on their websites. So I would ask for people to make choices that are conscious choices. I would also recommend that we support the new generations and we give them space to co-create the future with us, because they have the visions to drive us forward. And this is very optimistic.
And I really love what you just said. We need to co-create. We need to give them the tools to help them co-create with us, because in many ways we've sort of created this mess, not, and we don't expect for them to fix it, but we want them to come on board with us to make the world a better place. And I know that you're doing this every single day. And I want to thank you for all your work and thank you for joining us today. And I do hope that we'll have an opportunity to come back and talk more about your work and how it's all going in the future. But I hope that we can all join in to support all of the things that you're doing. Thank you for joining us today here.
Thank you very much. I'm honored for including me. Thank you so much, and congratulations for the work that you're doing, which is amazing and inspirational.
Thank you, Fiori.
Thank you.